Hi there, Jeremy O'Carroll, Director of the Reiki Centre here. Great that you're thinking about doing a Reiki course. I've seen Reiki do so much good for the hundreds of students I've taught. I've seen it do so much good for me. And I know that if you come along to one of my courses, it can do incredible things for you too. But I know that there are lots of different Reiki courses out there, and I know it can be quite difficult to choose because to begin with, before you've studied Reiki, it can be quite difficult to know what you don't know. You don't even necessarily know what you should be looking for in a Reiki course, and that can make things quite confusing, especially given the huge amount of different teachers out there who are conducting Reiki courses. So what I'd like to do in this video is just tell you a little bit about the key things you should be looking for in a Reiki course, and then tell you how you can find out information on these on my website. Now, first thing to consider for a Reiki course is how long it is. Now, if you look around on the web, you're going to see that courses can vary from just a few hours to generally a couple of days. At least this is level 1. Now, what I'd recommend is you definitely find a course that goes for 2 full days, because there's a lot of content to be covered in a level 1 course. And if you don't have 2 days, then you're really not going to have the opportunity to both understand what you're learning, so there's a theoretical part of it, but more importantly, have had the actual practice to really practice what you've learnt so that you can kind of master it and be confident of it going out into the everyday world. So, length of course is important. Another thing that you might want to consider is whether the course you're studying is actually going to be recognized by major Reiki associations around the world. And this can be quite a problem. I have a lot of people who do my course because the original course they did wasn't recognized by these Reiki associations, and as a result, when they decided that they wanted to go on and work with Reiki as maybe a Reiki healer or a Reiki teacher, they found that they were going to struggle to join these Reiki associations. They weren't going to be able to join, and so they had to redo those levels. Now, this is a bore. You don't want to have to do that. And so you need to really make sure that you get things right from the beginning. So whoever you decide to learn from, just make sure that they're going to be recognized by these major Reiki associations. Now, one step further on from this is you might even want to look into your teacher's Reiki lineage. Now, lineage is really just like your family tree. So the family tree starts with Mikao Usui, who is the founder of Reiki. Then he taught people who taught people who taught people, and then at some point it gets down to you or your teacher. And so you want to really make sure that whoever you're learning from has learnt from teachers who are well respected in the Reiki community, because remember, there are so many different Reiki teachers out there, and in particular, if you're wanting to go on and work with Reiki, then the only way you can or one of the main ways you're going to differentiate yourself from the thousands of other Reiki teachers out there is by your Reiki lineage. So the good thing about a well-known Reiki lineage too is that if you ever go overseas and you want to join Reiki associations there, then again, if your teachers are well-known, then you're not going to have a problem, and the Reiki associations will be happy to admit you. But again, if no one has ever heard of your teacher, then it can be a little bit more problematic. Now, another thing you might not have considered is the style of Reiki being taught at your course. You might not even realize, but there are a couple of main different Reiki styles being taught today. In fact, there are many different styles, but only 2 major ones. That is very traditional Japanese Reiki and what I term Western style Reiki. And they're quite different in what they cover. And so you really need to work out which style you're interested in, and then make sure you find a course which is teaching that, because they are quite different. And you can't really trust people who say, oh, it's traditional Japanese Reiki, because of course Reiki originated in Japan, so almost everyone says that. But what you need to do is dig a little bit deeper to find out actually what they're teaching, to see whether it really is traditional or whether it's Western. And you might prefer the Western style, but you need to find out which style is being taught and whether that works for you. Now, another thing you're going to need to think about is the support you're going to get with the course. Now, the first thing which you should check up on is whether you're going to get a decent manual with the course. it can be difficult to remember everything you learn in a course. And so what you really want is all the stuff you learn to be there in a manual, and you really want a manual which is even going to extend that. Because again, in 2 days, you can't cover everything to do with the topics which are brought up in a course. So you want to have a really decent manual, and unfortunately, a lot of the manuals out there today are either just a few loose bits of paper, or they don't go in very much depth, and some courses don't even have a manual at all. So make sure that if whatever course you enroll in, it's got a good manual. Now, another thing to consider is post-course support. Now, again, one of the big issues I've found with many Reiki courses, I've taken, look, I've studied from 6 different Reiki masters, and a lot of them have been very good teachers, but one common failing with pretty well all of them is after the course, there's not really much follow-up. And what you're going to find is, to really get the most out of what you learn, to really make sure you consolidate it, you need a structure in place. You need that support. And one fantastic way to have that is with a kind of a program which will last at least a few weeks after a course. So in my courses, for instance, I've got a 21-day e-program, and that means that every day after the course, you're going to get an email sent to you with things to practice and further information on your Reiki practice. And what students have found is, by going through this course, they gain so much confidence in what they've learned. They really go much deeper into it, and this means that Reiki gets deeply embedded in their system, so after that time they keep practicing. But if you don't have support after the course, then often you'll find that Reiki just kind of gets consumed by the business of your everyday life, and even if you had a really good time at the course, ultimately your practice just fades away. And so this post-course structure is critical. In fact, you might even want to go further than just a sort of an e-program or a 21-day program or whatever it is after the course. For instance, you might try to find a centre which also has video and article support. So in other words, some sort of information depository, some base where you can go with commonly asked questions after a course, where you can go to then go even deeper into your Reiki practice. And again, this is really important, and this is a sort of a feature which I provide. All the students of my course get access to my online video and articles learning portal. And so as even once the 21 days are up, it's not over then. They have more access to more materials which are really going to help them with their practice. Okay, now another thing to check up on could be your teacher's background, because here's an issue which often arises with Reiki teachers, and that is they're good at Reiki practice, but they're not so good at articulating ideas. So this can be pretty frustrating as a student, because naturally you're going to have lots of questions, but if your teacher can't really articulate a decent response, if your teacher can't explain clearly and coherently whatever question you have, then you've got an issue. And again, you get a lot of good Reiki practitioners, but there are not so many people who can really explain ideas clearly. So it's a good idea to really check in with whichever teacher you decide on to make sure that they've actually got good teacher qualities as opposed to just good practical ability with Reiki. Okay, so another main thing to think about is, in some ways, an obvious one, and that is you've got to make sure that whichever teacher you choose really resonates with you, because you're only going to get one shot at Reiki 1, at least for the first time you do it. And so you want that initial experience to be a really positive one. You want it to be a profound one. And so you've got to make sure that you're going to gel and really vibe with your teacher. And so that's a critical thing to look for. Now, one way you might be able to find out whether you're going to gel with them, apart from calling them, if you can call them, that's the best thing, because you can chat to them and obviously you're going to get a feel for what they're like. But if you're not going to call them, then try to read some articles they've written, or maybe watch a video which they've done, because if you can do that, again, you're going to get a feel for their style. You're going to get a feel for the manner in which they teach and the kind of content they teach. And in that way, again, you're going to get a pretty good idea of whether you're going to resonate with them. So that can be really important. So what I'd recommend, if you're interested in finding out more about my own courses, then just look around on this courses homepage. It goes pretty deep, so you can read a lot of information on it. And after that, you're going to find that I've got 2 more really valuable resources. Now, one is the online video and articles membership portal, which I mentioned. Now, that's free, so you can access that for free. You'll find there's a link quite close to the top of the page. It's just under this video, in fact. So if you look down below this video a little bit, you're going to find a link to this online video and articles portal. So if you click there, you're going to gain access to lots and lots of Reiki articles, lots of videos, which are going to tell you a lot more about Reiki, so to help you decide whether even Reiki is for you in the first place, and then you're going to get a much better feel for who I am personally. Now, if you're wanting lots of detail on my level 1 course, then again, if you just look down the page a bit, if you look in the right hand column, then you're going to find there's a link to the level 1 videos, and if you click on that, you're going to find I've created a whole series of videos which really go into massive detail about my course. Videos which explore issues like what am I actually going to teach the course, who can benefit from a Reiki course, what's my own personal Reiki background and history, these sorts of things which are questions which commonly arise. So as you can see, there's a lot of information out there. For me, it's really important to provide massive support to my students. And I want to make sure that if you do come along to one of my courses, if you do choose it, then we're a good fit, we're a good match. And so look around at the videos, look around at the online video and articles membership portal, look around this site. You might even want to look at some of the testimonials. You can click on the testimonials link. There you're going to see comments from lots of different students on all sorts of different areas, like what I'm like, whether their expectations were met in a course, whether they really learnt Reiki in just 2 days. So these are typical kind of questions which people often have before enrolling the course. You can go through there and just see what a whole lot of students experience in one of my courses. So remember also that if you've got any questions and they're not answered by what you see, or if you just would like to contact me directly before looking up any of the other resources, then please just give me a call or write to me, and I'd be really happy to tell you more. So look, hope this video has helped you out a little bit. As I said, if you've got any more questions, just give me a call or write. So good luck in your search for finding the right Reiki teacher, whoever that is, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.